Good afternoon. Today I'll be discussing two of the most important tools of direct democracy in Arizona: the initiative and the referendum. These processes are more than procedural voting mechanisms. They represent the constitutional belief that political power ultimately resides with the people. My goal today is to clearly define each process, explain how they are created, compare and contrast their functions, examine their advantages and limitations, and connect them directly to the structure of direct democracy laid out in the Arizona Constitution. What is an initiative? Initiative is a process through which Arizona citizens directly create public policy. Unlike traditional lawmaking, which begins in the legislature, initiatives begin with the people themselves. Citizens draft a proposed statute or constitutional amendment, file it with the Secretary of State, and collect signatures, which they need 10% of the last gubernatorial vote for statutory changes and 15% for constitutional amendments. Once signatures are verified, the measure is placed on the ballot for the voters to decide. This process gives citizens legislative power equivalent to elected officials, allowing them to introduce policy when the legislature is unwilling or unable to act. Now, what is a referendum? A referendum operates in the opposite direction. Instead of creating a new law, a referendum allows voters to approve or reject a law the legislature has already passed. Arizona has two forms: the legislative referendum, which is the legislature voluntarily refers a constitutional amendment or a controversial issue to voters. The second one is citizen initiative veto referendum. Citizens gather signatures equal to 5% of the gubernatorial vote, which challenges a newly passed law. Until voters decide, the law is automatically placed on hold. This process functions as a democratic veto, ensuring that major laws reflect the will of the people rather than only elected officials. How are initiatives and referendums created? Although both processes involve public decision making, their creation steps differ. Initiatives begin entirely with citizens, drafting the language, filing the paperwork, gathering signatures, and undergoing legal review before reaching the ballot. Referendums can originate either with lawmakers or citizens. Legislative referendums require majority approval from both chambers, while citizens' referendums require timely petition filings and signatures gathering within 90 days of the law's passage. These procedural differences reflect the distinct purpose of each mechanism. Initiatives drive policy creation, while referendums provide policy oversight. We're going to compare initiative and referendum. When comparing the two, there are several differences that become clear. First one is direction of action. Initiatives move policy from citizens to the government, whereas referendums move evaluation from government back to citizens. The purpose. Initiatives introduce new laws, referendums confirm or rejecting existing laws. The signature thresholds. Initiatives require more signatures because they create new policy. Referendums require fewer because they act as a check on legislative authority. Despite these differences, both processes elevate the public's voice to a role that is co-equal with the legislature. Both sides have pros and cons. The initiative pros that it empowers citizens to set the policy agenda, where there is a circumvents legislative gridlock. It also has increases civic engagement and political participation. Now, the initiative cons are signatures gatherings can favor well-funded groups. Ballot language may be complex or technical. Once enhanced, initiatives are difficult to amend. Now we're going to talk about the referendum pros, which provides a direct check on legislative decisions, enhances accountability of elected officials, grants voters final approval on major policy changes. The cons of referendums are that they can delay implementation of needed laws, Public decisions can be influenced by misinformation. Complex issues may not be fully understood by voters. These strengths and limitations highlight why both tools are powerful but must be used with civic responsibility. The direct democracy in the Arizona Constitution. Initiatives and referendums are not accidental features. They are deliberately embedded in Article 4, Part 1 of Arizona's Constitution. Arizona's founders emphasized that the people retain sovereign lawmaking authority, and these processes operationalize that principle. Though initiatives, citizens, or originate policy through referendums, they review policy. Together, they ensure that the public remains an active participant in governance rather than a passive observer. This structure reflects Arizona's strong progressive era roots and its commitment to maintaining a government that is ultimately accountable to its citizens. In conclusion, the initiative and referendum processes are essential components of Arizona's systems of direct democracy. Initiatives allow citizens to create laws when government action is insufficient, while referendums empower voters to improve or overturn legislative decisions. Each mechanism has clear strengths and limitations, but together they form a constitutional framework where voters hold genuine and direct legislative power. These tools ensure that policy making in Arizona remains transparent, participatory, and grounded in the principle of popular sovereignty. Thank you.